someone asked me, "Sis, I'm about to buy a house. It looks okay, but I heard people say the feng shui of this land is not good. I'm really worried." Or, "I'm not sure if this land is suitable for long-term living, or if it just looks good on the outside." Some people have already moved in, but are starting to feel uneasy. We've lived in this house for a few years. Nothing major has happened, but the longer we stay, the heavier it feels. I'm not sure if it's the land. I understand. Most people are afraid of picking the wrong land, afraid of bad feng shui. They worry that after buying, they won't be able to live in peace. They fear that staying too long could bring harm to people, to wealth, and to the home itself. And I often tell people this. There are plots of land that many criticize, but they are actually very good. On the other hand, there are plots that look great and get lots of praise, but over time, they bring up all sorts of problems. When I look at a piece of land, the first thing I focus on is the overall shape and layout, not the small scattered details. I check how the land is situated. Is it protected by the surroundings or completely exposed on all sides? Is there enough sunlight? How is the wind direction? Sometimes just pausing for a moment and looking around is enough to see a lot. I also always take a close look at the back of the land. Does it have a solid backing, or is it left wide open and exposed? Then I check the front. Is it open and spacious, or is it cramped, pressed down by nearby buildings or roads? These things don't need long explanations. Once your eyes are trained, you can see them right away. Then comes the way energy, or qi, flows through the land. Some places let energy in, but cannot hold it. As soon as it arrives, it scatters. Some places have blocked or disrupted energy. From the outside, it looks like normal residential land, but inside, there is no peace. On the flip side, there are places that don't seem impressive at first glance. Some people even criticize them, but the energy gathers clearly, smoothly, and strongly. If you are not used to looking, it is easy to miss these signs. But once you know what to look for, every piece of land reveals itself. Just by observing the layout and its connections with the surroundings, you can already tell what kind of land it is. In this part, I will go through signs like that one by one. Each sign is a very basic way to read residential land feng shui. I will go point by point so that you can compare with the land you are interested in and feel confident in making your decision. And if you have any questions, or if there's a topic you'd like us to make a video about, feel free to leave a message in the comments section below. We will make more videos to answer your questions. Now, let's take a closer look at each type of land to understand why certain land formations are considered good, and how to apply this knowledge in real life so that you can recognize whether a plot of land is truly beneficial or not. Once you understand these signs, you will no longer have to worry about choosing the wrong land. Instead, you will feel more confident in making your decisions. Number 1. Land with a solid backing. A plot of land with a solid backing usually has a very recognizable shape. You can spot it immediately. People often call this a piece of land that has a back. This means the rear of the land is not left wide open, but has something behind it to lean on. It might be a row of houses that have been there for a long time. It could be slightly elevated ground, or it might be a cluster of tall trees that have been growing for years. Sometimes the terrain itself is full and steady behind the land, giving the impression of being held in place. It is not floating. It is not exposed. To be honest, I consider this a good formation because in feng shui, the rear side of the land is considered its back. If the back is supported, energy does not easily escape. It may sound simple, but the impact is significant. The energy flow around the land is less likely to disperse from behind helping to maintain stability. And this stability is not just theoretical, it often comes with a stable lifestyle. Daily routines are easier to keep. It is easier to accumulate. There is less of a roller coaster feeling. Interestingly, whenever I see areas where the land has solid backing, I find the plots to be steady, even if their growth is slow, but they are reliable. They are less disturbed by unnecessary external factors. If you want to apply this in practice when checking out land, first, stand close to the back boundary and directly observe the surrounding terrain to compare elevation. If you have to look up to see the land behind, or if there is a structure behind it, then that plot is considered to have a good backing. On the other hand, if your view looks downward and the rear is sunken or slopes away deeply, that is a sign the land has no support. Next, you should observe the area immediately behind the plot. If there are ponds, ditches, low rice fields, or long stretches of empty, low-lying land with no coverage, then regardless of how cheap the price is or how beautiful the front looks, you should walk away. Lastly, you need to check the long-term stability of that backing. If it is a well-established residential area that has been there for years, then that is a good sign. But if the backing is likely to be demolished or disappear soon, then, in essence, the land does not truly have a backing, because support only matters if it lasts. Number 2, a clear, open space in front. The second good land formation, based on my real-life experience, is the kind of land with an open space in the front. To put it simply, this means there is a reasonably open area in front of the plot to allow light, energy, and daily activity to flow in. I often recognize this type of land quickly because it usually has a certain amount of setback in the front. It might be a yard, a wide sidewalk, an open space before the house, or at the very least, a road wide enough that the view is not immediately blocked. Looking at it, I feel like the face of the land has room to breathe. What I really appreciate about this type of land is how the open front allows for a gentler rhythm of life. People can move in and out without rushing. Sunlight can enter the house evenly. The space in front allows people to slow down before going inside. I have seen many houses that are not large at all, but just because they have a modest open space in front, the people living there feel more comfortable and less stressed. In such places, daily routines form naturally. Tensions are less likely to build up, and everything tends to move slowly but steadily, not erratically. Also, when I go to view or consult on a piece of land, I usually stand right at the spot where the front of the property would be. I do not rush inside. I take a few seconds to look straight ahead. If the front is blocked by a tall wall, a massive building, or a narrow alley that cuts off the view, I often eliminate it quickly because it feels too confined for long-term living. On the other hand, if there is just enough open space in front with light and some room for your eyes to look ahead before the view ends, I rate it more highly. That is a sign the land can support a stable rhythm of life over time. Number 3. Land that is not squeezed or cramped between neighboring structures. The third land formation I want to share is a plot that is not squeezed between buildings on both sides. When evaluating land in person, I always pay attention to the horizontal space of the plot first. The two sides are not pressed too closely by other buildings. The boundaries run relatively evenly, and there is no part that feels pinched or narrowed. Along both sides, there is still some breathing space. Whether it is wide or narrow, light still finds its way in, and air can circulate. Overall, the land does not feel compressed, so from the very beginning, it shows potential for long-term usability. The advantage of this kind of land, based on what I have observed in real-life homes, lies in how well the space operates once people start living in it. The house does not get excessively hot on one side. There are fewer dark spots. It does not rely too heavily on technical fixes to make up for problems caused by poor land formation. Common issues with houses squeezed on both sides, such as poor airflow, constant dampness, or the need for frequent renovations to fix lighting, appear much less frequently here. And it is exactly these fewer issues that make this land valuable, even if at first glance it does not seem all that impressive. If you come across a plot like this in real life, first take a look at both side boundaries to assess how tightly neighboring buildings press in. Then walk further in and feel how the space changes. Some plots may look open at first, but the deeper you go, the darker and heavier they feel. That is a warning sign for long-term discomfort. On the flip side, if the deeper you go, the space still feels airy, light is not completely cut off, and there is no sense of being squeezed, then that is a solid foundation for long-term use. Number 4. Land that is not directly hit by roads or pointed at by sharp corners. There is a type of good land that I have seen again and again. What they all have in common is the way the road in front of the plot flows. The road rarely points directly at the land. Instead, it just passes by and continues onward. So the flow of vehicles, people, and the overall rhythm of the area does not rush into the land, but moves across it instead. When you stand on the plot and look out, you can always see the road stretching in both directions. Cars pass by sideways. Headlights sweep across instead of pointing straight in. There is no feeling that everything is converging on a single sharp point. This allows the flow to move naturally and smoothly through the area. These plots are usually located along the middle of a street segment or at a spot where the road gently shifts before passing by. The road does not need to curve much, just a slight bend or offset is enough. That slight tilt softens the flow. It slows things down, reduces impact, and avoids harsh energy clashes. You can clearly see this on a map. The road does not strike the land directly. It curves or shifts slightly to the side before continuing. In feng shui, the difficulty with certain land plots does not come from their appearance, but from the way energy flows too fast and too directly. If a road runs straight and ends at your land, then cars, lights, noise, and wind tend to all gather at that one spot. In contrast, when the road simply passes by, those elements are more spread out. The energy around the land is more stable, making it better suited for long-term living. If you compare two plots side by side, one located along a continuing road, the other at the end of a long straight route, even if they look similar or have the same value, the one along the ongoing road is less likely to experience harsh clashes. The reason is simple. It does not sit at the receiving end of a direct flow. It is not hard to check this yourself. Just open a map and see if the plot is in the middle of a route or at the end of a long straight path. When you visit the site, step back a bit on the road and look straight at the land. If the plot does not sit at the exact center of the road's path, and the road does not aim directly into it, that is a good sign. Just one look is enough, no need for complex calculations. To sum it up, good land in this case is when the road in front either passes by or curves gently, and the plot does not sit at the end point of a straight road. Once you understand this idea of passing by, you will understand why this kind of land carries smooth, stable energy flow. Number 5. Land located in a stable residential area. Plots in well-established neighborhoods often show clear signs, even without expert knowledge. The houses have usually been there for years. Roads and walkways follow a steady rhythm, with little change. Life flows calmly, without constant disruptions. Trees are often large and deeply rooted, growing steadily over time. In feng shui, big trees are a strong signal they cannot grow well in places where energy is unstable. They need a peaceful environment to take root and thrive. In these areas, residents tend to stay long-term. Neighbors know one another. There is a natural order. Daily life feels balanced. That stability helps the energy settle, and when it does, it leads to lasting growth in habits, in structure, and in long-term strength. Many people link prosperity to things that look flashy, but in truth, long-term wealth usually grows from a strong and steady base. By contrast, there are areas that seem vibrant and new, but are constantly in motion: roads under construction, changing infrastructure, digging, rerouted traffic, and non-stop building or tearing down. In these places, energy barely has time to settle before it is disturbed again. You can live there, but if your goal is long-term peace and stability, they are not ideal. The good news is, spotting this type of land is simple. Just visit at different times in the day and observe. Does the traffic flow smoothly? Is it noisy like a construction site? Look around. Are there lots of for sale signs, demolition notices, or mass construction? Stable neighborhoods do not show many signs of constant change. They usually look just old enough, with a sense of time, but still feel organized and whole, not chaotic or messy. When checking land, it is easy to be drawn to nice visuals or smooth talk from sellers. But picking land is not just about appearance. It is about finding a place that gives you peace of mind and supports a solid foundation for your life. Once you start applying the signs I shared, solid backing, open space in front, not being squeezed, you will see that choosing land is not about guesswork or emotions. It is about understanding how space works with your life. A good piece of land not only brings prosperity, but also helps you build a steady, low-stress lifestyle. Honestly, finding good land is not magic. The signs are real, and you can spot them yourself. When you stand on a plot and feel balanced, supported, grounded, that is more valuable than any fancy-looking land with no real foundation. Everyone has different needs when it comes to land. But with these signs, you will see that choosing good land is not about luck. It is a careful process that helps you live more calmly and sustainably. Do not let surface factors make you anxious. Let stability, support, and the ability to hold energy guide your choice. If you have any questions or want us to make a video on a specific topic, just leave a comment below. We read every suggestion and will make more videos to help answer your questions. Thanks so much for watching, and see you in the next videos.